Boom, boom. We're recording, y'all. All right, this is Mentorship Masters Roundtable Meetup, my Mentorship Masters group right here at eXp. And today we're talking about agent attraction, specifically agent attraction. And we're going to talk about some of the specific objections that we get and the objection handlers around those. So if you guys have any specific objections, you can kind of hold on to those for a minute. We'll maybe type them up in the chat box. But I'm going to handle, or I'm going to go through 6 common objections that I've gotten. I've attracted at this point 68 people. I know it's quite a few. I've attracted 68 people to eXp in the 16 months that I've been here. I've been here 16 months, and by the way, there are people that are kicking my butt. And people always say, "Well, that's because you're well known." I didn't come into this world well known, by the way. That's something you create, you do. That's something you create for yourself. But I did put in a lot of work. I've been training agents for years and years and years. I love doing it. So I do have a lot of agents that I know. But I will tell you that the folks that are here at Mentorship Masters, I haven't personally reached out to any of them. They've all contacted me. They've been like, "Hey, what do you got going?" And this is what I tell you guys, is that you lead with curiosity. You create curiosity. We're a Christ-centered group. We're straight real estate. We're about becoming better men and women of God, and better men and women in family, better men and women in business. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you guys a couple of things. So let me share. Let me see. What do I want to share with you first? Let's go first to this one. All right, so let me just kind of share some of these things with you. And yeah, become famous. I tell you guys all the time, you got to become famous. And one thing I haven't done is I haven't attracted that many people locally. So, that's been a tactic for a lot of people, a lot of agents that are not as well known. And like I said, there's agents out there that are kicking my butt on attraction, and they're not even well known. There's a few of us here at eXp that have never even sold a house that are doing phenomenal with agent attraction. And people ask me, "Well, man, Knolly, is it all about agent attraction?" Well, for me, I like to tell people about the best game in town. I mean, if I go to a great movie, if I go to a great restaurant, I like to tell the people about it. And that's the same thing I'm doing here at eXp. So let me quickly share with you guys. We've got some new members. Woo! I love new members, boy. We've got Bryant Matus, brought to us by Mina Slaughter. Thank you, Mina, for bringing in Bryant. We've got Wendell Stewart, and Wendell's actually a broker. Wendell was brought in to us by Joseph Font, and Wendell is in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina area. By the way, Bryant he's like in the San Antonio area. We got Mary Beth Carlton, and she comes from us. She's from Bend, Oregon. And I spent a couple weeks ago, I spent maybe an hour and 15 minutes talking to Mary. We had talked before. Great person, great gal. She's been in real estate for quite a while, and she's gonna rock it right here at eXp. And then we've got Elena Limbrick, and she was brought into us by Anthony Chambers. So thank you, Anthony, for bringing Elena to the group. So, I'm interested in growing this group. We are right now at 107 members, 107. And Uncle Knolly wants to grow our group. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but I want to grow our group to 40,000 agents within the next 10 years. That's my goal. That's where we're headed. So with that, what I want to share with you is a couple things. Number one, if you ever need support, you remember we used to have Patty Lynn, the fabulous Patty Lynn, and Patty Lynn was worked with me for a year. She was in now what Chris is doing. So Chris Capistrano is now in that role. This is his phone number and his email address. So just take note of it, because if you have any questions around Mentorship Masters or anything, Chris is the person to reach out to. We still love the honorable Patty Lynn. The goal with Patty Lynn was to bring her on for 5 or 6 months. She ended up staying with us, for that particular project for a year, because my goal was I wanted Patty Lynn to get in and help onboard my first 40 agents. because there's different tiers that you unlock when you unlock different tiers or levels, whatever you want to call it. So Patty Lynn came on. I've known Patty Lynn for 12, 13 years, and she came on to help me with that. And so now the way I'm growing, how am I going to grow these 40,000 agents? I'm going to grow them through you guys. Okay. I've already built my group. I wanted to build it out wide so that I unlocked all the tiers, all the levels. And so now I want to grow it through you guys. So I'm relying on you guys to continue to bring people in. If you need me to do a 3-way call with them, or like I'm doing a Zoom call with Deb Gilliam and somebody that she's talking to, we're going to do that tomorrow. And so I'm always available for that. Okay. So I want to quickly we talked in our Knolly Success Coaching group earlier today about these 3 people. And I want to bring them up here again because you guys may not have seen that. And if you had, let's talk about them again. So Nick Sir, he's one of our Mentorship Masters. This was a text that he had sent me just week before last. He said, that'd be great. He said, I went from 40,000 in debt, moving back close to where I moved away from, to closing 85,000 GCI, all closing between 430 and 525. Why is that significant? Okay. He goes on to say that, man, I'm going to be showing a golf course today and listing a condo at the end of the week. Well, why is this significant? Well, it's significant because 90 days ago, Nick didn't have anything on the radar. He had no deals. He wasn't even doing the 2. What I teach you guys to do the 2, he wasn't even doing that. But he snapped into gear. He got real laser focused on being successful, being the agent that he knows he can that he knows he is. And look at him now. He's closing 85,000 in GCI. That's commissions, gross commission income that he's putting in his pocket. He's already capped. I just looked on the board. He's already capped. He's been with me 5 months, but he just got into gear, 3 months ago. So that's Nick. He's right in our group. He's succeeding. Mina, okay, you guys know Mina's story. You've heard, when she came on with me, she was with a different company. She had done like 8 deals. Most of them had been leases and things like that. She hadn't made very much money, and her husband told her, look, if you can't make a go of it, you got 1 more year and you're out of the business. So she put that on me. She said, Knolly, is what you're telling me, am I going to be successful here at Mentorship Masters? I said, Mina, you'll be successful here. So she believed me. She joined. Her first year, she made just about $90,000 in commission. This year, she's on track for making over $150,000. And look at this text that she just sent me Monday. Okay, she just sent me this 3 days ago. It says, happy Monday. I signed 3 listing agreements for June last week. I got a brand new build up under contract, and I have 4 more pre-approved to buy, trying to find houses. It was quite the week last week. That was her last week. She did 3 listings, a new build, and 4 buyers pre-approved. That was last week. She's like, it's all in a week's work. No big deal, right? And she's one of our masters. She came to me. She didn't have a single deal on the horizon when she joined Mentorship Masters. And she's been with us she's been with me for a little over 12 months at this point. And then I want to highlight Rebecca Wooten. By the way, if you've got a story that you want me to showcase, I want to hear your stories, not just the good, okay? But I want to hear the bad, and I want to hear the ugly. I want to hear anything whatever's going on in your world. You guys have reached out to me before. You've been going through, like, you didn't like something with accounting, or you didn't like something with onboarding, or whatever it was. You guys have reached out to me about the ugly, but I want to hear the good too. So anything that's going on in your world, feel free to reach out to Uncle Knolly, and I love to hear about it. So Rebecca Wooten. Rebecca has been with me for about 2.5 months. In fact, I think she just passed her 90 days with us. And when Rebecca came to us, she was 90 days in. And, we told each other, we've all been here. We told each other one day we're going to laugh about this, but Rebecca didn't even have the $149 fee to join eXp. She didn't have the join fee. And, raise your hand if you've ever been there. Have you ever been where you didn't have groceries? I knew there was a point when I did not have groceries. I remember 2 distinct times in my life where that was my case. Well, Rebecca was in kind of we all go through feast or famine, where she was kind of in a famine spell. When she joined, she said, Knolly, is this the real deal? Am I going to learn? Am I going to grow? Am I going to succeed? I said, Rebecca, trust me. And by the way, I first started reaching out to Rebecca. Let me say this. I first started reaching out to Rebecca about Mentorship Masters probably around March of 2019. Okay. It took her a year to join, over a year before she got, well, just about a year before she got up the gumption to actually follow through and join me. And look what she says here. She says, 2.5 months, I now have 3 listings, 1 under contract in 1 day. Okay. Closed 4 deals, working 15 buyers, and also have 3 eXp agents referring me business. That's in 2.5 months. When she came to me, she didn't have a single deal on the books or on the radar. Okay. Now, why am I telling you guys all this? Well, because this is the place where you can succeed. Okay. This is the place where if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're already in Mentorship Masters and you just haven't picked up the baton and started running with it, it's on you. Okay. Who is this when you think about it? Okay. When you think about your success or your failure, okay, who can you look to and say, that's the reason why I'm successful? It's the mirror. The mirror is what you can look to, right? Because Uncle Knolly is going to bring you the goods. I'm going to tell you what to do. If you do it, you will succeed. Okay. Now, this is what we came here to learn, and that's the top 6 reasons to stay stuck. And this is what I teach whenever I'm teaching people that are thinking about joining eXp. They're not sure. They're not quite sure if they want to do it. There really are 6 reasons. I'm going to rattle off these reasons. Take note of them because then I'm going to take away the presentation itself. And then I'm going to go to just talking to you guys and just sharing with you. So if you're talking to somebody and they're interested in maybe joining Mentorship Masters, joining us here at eXp, there's only 6 reasons that I've ever found that people get stuck and are just afraid to move. And many of you have been there. I mean, I know I talked to Charles Lee, and it took him, I don't know how many months, 8 months, whatever it was, to finally join us. And he was our #1 attractor last quarter. It took him 8 months before he personally joined. Okay. And he was our #1 attractor. So, by the way, before I even say this or go through these, let me let you guys know that we had an absolutely rocking, let me say it again. We had an absolutely rocking, okay, shareholders meeting last week. I mean, it was phenomenal. If you did not get a chance to attend shareholders, here at eXp, you want to go back on YouTube. There's a ton of great videos where almost all the sessions were recorded. You can go back and watch them, but I'm telling you, it was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was mind blowing. Great stuff. So what are the top 6 reasons that I find, because I've talked to so many agents. I've talked to probably at this point, I mean, I've talked to hundreds of agents already. And most of them stay stuck. Remember the goal of eXp and where we're headed. Let's just put it that way. Where we're headed in North America in 10 years, we're going to have 400,000 agents in 10 years, 400,000. I'm going to have 40,000 of those. And that's not just North America. And across the world, we want to have over 1 million agents. Okay. Some are saying 2 million, but we definitely want to have over 1 million. And what we want to do is have a 20% market share. Okay. So when you look at, there's about 2 million real estate agents in the United States, we want to have 20% of those. So what that means is that 4 out of 5 will not join for whatever reason. And it's okay. Okay. There are reasons that people stay stuck. Some of them are really good reasons. I've actually only heard one really good reason, which even that wasn't all that good, but it was pretty good. But I have not heard another compelling reason. But again, this is their journey. Let a person have their journey. Okay. So #1 reason to stay stuck. And by the way, the reason I even say this is because I've looked, I started with Prudential. I was there for 74 days before I realized that I could make a lot more money at Remax, which I moved to Remax. I was there for 5 years, became one of the top 10 Remax agents in the state of Texas. And I was not leaving Remax for nothing. Okay. But then when Keller Williams came along and allowed me to teach, see, that was my big thing. I wanted to teach. They said, Knolly, if you come over here, we're going to allow you to teach. You teach classes. You can become a coach, whatever you want to do. And I didn't even care about getting paid. I just liked teaching. And so that's what I did. I joined Keller Williams, and I was recruited to Keller Williams by Gary Keller. You guys know the story. Some of you guys know. And I was there for 10 years. I was not leaving Keller Williams. In no way in the world I would ever leave until I saw eXp. And it is the most phenomenal model in the business, bar none. Okay, bar none. And so I'm going to go through these 6 again. Write these down because we're gonna do away with this screen, and then I'm just going to talk to you guys. Okay, number 1, I love my broker. Okay, I love my broker. That's the number 1 reason that I hear agents get stuck, and I can appreciate that. I love my broker. Okay. Number 2 is it's not local. Okay. Now, obviously, eXp is local. eXp is everywhere, at least in the United States, and we're in multiple countries. We're in every province of Canada. We just opened Nova Scotia. We're in the UK. We're in Australia. But, someone might say, hey, you're not local. Knolly, you don't even live in Bend, Oregon. Okay. Did you notice that all the people that I just talked about that recently joined us, none of them live in my city? Okay. So that's another thing. Hey, Nolly, you don't live here. You don't live local. Okay. By the way, most of the Mentorship Masters members are not local. About 90% of them don't live in my city. Number 3, I get 100% where I'm at right now. That's the number 3 objection that I get. I get 100%. Why would I go to a company where I have to pay 16,000 cap? Why would I be on an 80-20 split when I'm already at 100%? Number 4 is I only pay a transaction fee. The office that I'm at right now, man, I'm only paying a transaction fee. That's it. I'm good. I love it. By the way, all of these are when you look at all of these, they're extremely what we call short-sighted. I want you to write that down. Short-sighted. These are people that don't have the ability, and it's okay. There's no judgment in this. It's just they don't have the ability to see vision, and that's what I'm here for. I'm a visionary, and many of us that are here are visionaries. Some of us aren't, but we're on that path. Okay. Vision is really just the ability to see the long game. Okay, the end picture. Okay, so then the next one is it's hard to switch. It's hard to switch. It's just hard switching companies. That's the 5th objection. And then the last objection that I really hear is I love it at my current brokerage. That's kind of a play on the first one, but instead of saying, hey, I love my broker, they're really just saying, man, I really like it at my current brokerage. I can't imagine being at a cloud-based brokerage or whatever. And so these are the top 6. If you guys have any that are not covered here that you're getting repeatedly, these are the most common ones, my top 6. Let me know, put in the chat, and we'll talk about those as well. But I want you to just take a quick screenshot of this, and then I'm going to cover each one of these. I was texting yesterday with one of our members, and she was talking particularly about a gentleman who was considering. He's just not necessarily considering, but he's looking at the idea of eXp, and he's stuck on number 3. I get 100%, and most people will be stuck on one of these. In his case, I don't think he's stuck on number 1. I don't know that he necessarily loves his broker, but he does like getting 100%. So-called. We call it 100%, but we'll talk about that in a minute. It's quite interesting. I think the last thing I'll say, hopefully you guys have taken a screenshot, of this. Just take your screenshot or write all these down, and then Uncle Knolly is going to cover these. And if you're watching this and this was sent to you by one of our mentorship masters after the fact, you can go to join.exprealty.com to join us, or you can speak to the mentorship master that sent you this video, because the only way that you can become part of Mentorship Masters is by being invited by one of our masters, by being sponsored by one of our Mentorship Masters. So the other thing I want to mention to you is, she had asked me a question. She says, she didn't ask the gentleman who said he liked the 100%. I explained to him that because I'm at eXp, I actually make more than 100%. I'm like, why would you settle for 100%? That's crazy. And he was like, well, how much do you make per month in revenue share? Well, um, this is my revenue share that's going to hit my account tomorrow, $6,038.81. By the way to go, Mentorship Masters. You guys rocked it. You knocked it out the park. You guys had a phenomenal month. You guys are still closing business in the middle of COVID. But and then she asked me, or he asked me through her. He was like, well, how long you been there? I've been at the company for 16 months. 16 months I've been here at eXp, and the company's paying me $6,000 a month. Okay, just to be here. I pay them 16,000. They pay me 6,000. I think that's a pretty fair. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty in my favor, I think. So this is the revenue share that was just paid. We get paid every 22nd of the month. Write that down if you want to be serious about getting revenue share. The 22nd of the month, this amount, whatever amount it is for you, is going to hit your bank account. Okay. Now, I'm not saying this to brag because there's people that are kicking my butt on revenue share. But one thing that I do want to point out is that my wife and I have a really good friend, and we're not down talking anybody, but I think it's very notable. We have a very good friend who joined Keller Williams in 1984. Okay, just think about this for a minute. He joined Keller Williams in 1984. He was one of the top 50, or I should say the original 50 agents that joined Keller Williams. Now there's over 100,000, but he was one of the first 50. Let me say it again. He was one of the first 40. Let me narrow it down. He was one of the first 40. I won't tell you which number he is because I don't want to call him out. But he was super excited because, and I've known him for years, years and years and years. I've known him. Great guy. And my wife just called to check up on him, see how he's doing. And we started talking about eXp. And he was like, well, I'm making profit share and I'm already making, drum roll, $10,000 a month. He's making $10,000 a month. Now, let me put this in perspective. This guy joined Keller Williams Realty when I was 14 years old. I'm 50. Okay. He joined Keller Williams 36 years ago. And he's now making $10,000 a month 36 years later. I've been in eXp for 16 months. Let me say it again. I've been in eXp for 16 months and I'm almost making what he's making. And I guarantee you by the end of the summer, I will be making $10,000 a month. That's within my first 18 to 20 months at eXp. Okay, there is no comparison on the planet between profit share and revenue share. They're in a completely different stratosphere. There is nothing like what we have here at eXp in the world. Just nothing like it. No opportunity like this exists in real estate. So with that, what I want to go to, I want to actually go through these objections and just talk to you guys through these because I think it's very important that you understand, how to deal with these objections. So the first one is I love my broker. And if you have some that are not here, let me see if any of you guys, yeah. Deb says, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, we're going to have that call. That's Deb Gilliam. I'm going to be talking three-way with her person. If any of you guys ever need a three-way call with me, especially if you're trying to generate a big fish, like a big broker or a team, and we'll even go upstream. Brent Gove is upstream from us. We've got Jay Kinder is part of our group. We've got a lot of great people. We've got Kevin Kaufman, Fred Weaver. We got Curtis Johnson. Curtis Johnson, he's been with the company for under 3 years, and he's already generating about 75,000 a month at least. Last time I looked at his revenue share, it's been about 5 months ago. He was already at 60,000 a month in revenue share. Okay, and here's the thing: I've brought on more people than Curtis Johnson. Let me say it again: I have personally enrolled more people than Curtis Johnson. But because he's been here longer, his group has grown. And so he's got over 1,000, I think he's over 1,500 people in his group now. I'm at 107. So it's when we told this gentleman what some of the people here are making in revenue share, he just wouldn't believe it. He refused to believe it. He said, that's impossible. I said, well, I know a guy right now, like Brent Gove. A lot of you guys don't know this, but he makes over 350,000 a month. Let me say it again, not annually, monthly. He can't even tell you how much he makes, but I've got, I'm in part of that circle. We've got, Gene Frederick. I mean, he's making $500,000 a month. Okay, $6 million a year. Why not? Okay, and that's the club that I'm. My goal is, my first goal is 10,000 a month. Then I want to get to 25, then 40, then 100,000. Now, do you need all that money? No, I don't need all that money. Okay, but here's what I do want. I want to be able to share and sow into people. So I'm going to build my group to as big as God wants it to be, period. Now let's look at this. Number one, I love my broker. So this is a common thing, and I get that. I used to, my broker at Remax, his name is Mark Minshew. I love Mark Minshew. I mean, he he took me on when I was just not even 3 months in the business to a prestigious Remax office. And the guy was there for me. He taught me a lot of stuff. But here's what I had to realize. There was a trajectory that God was taking me on, and it just moved beyond what Mark could do for me. Now, I'm the guy that was still going to the office meetings. Okay, the office meetings. I was still going to the Christmas parties for Remax years after I'd left. You're talking 2-3 years later, I'd show up at the Remax Austin Associates office party. They're like, "Nah, hey, what's up? What's up? Man, you back?" I'm like, "No, I'm just coming for the Christmas party, man. I'm cool. I'm not back to Remax, but I just like it, So I love my broker. I took a picture with my broker a couple months ago at the board of realtors. We were just hanging out, and we just, I mean, I love the guy, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to have to stifle the potentiality of where I'm headed, because he's going to be okay. Guess what? When I left, God put somebody else in his, another hot shot, you know, and he was good. We are not responsible for the success or failure of other people. Okay. We can't play that role. When God moves you to where you need to be, just move. You're not a tree. That's what Jim Rohn said. You're not a tree. Move. So that's what I did. And so I think I've loved every broker that I've had. It's not about loving your broker. You got to understand that. I'm a broker myself, but I would never want to stifle anybody's opportunity. And the reality is, and I ask people this all the time. I say, well, I get that you love your broker. Who do you love more, your broker or your wife? Who do you love more, your broker or your husband, your broker or your family? Because this is something that you're actually doing when you join eXp. This is something that you're doing not for your broker, not because you don't like your broker, but you're making a move for your family. Okay, so that's one of the objections that I hear, and that's how I just kind of handle that. I just share my story of how much I love my broker, but I still had to do what was right for my family. The second one I hear a lot is that it's not local. Man, you guys aren't even, you're not, or you specifically, and this only goes for if you're sponsoring an agent in another city, and they say, hey Knolly, man, you don't even live in San Diego. I'm like, no, I don't live in San Diego. But here's the reality, and one thing that we all know is that our world, COVID-19 taught us this even more, is that our world is one big neighborhood. Okay, the whole world is one neighborhood, guys. It's there are people. Let me explain to you something. Rebecca Wooten. Okay, now how I met Rebecca was I was showing up a property, showing a house. Y'all know I don't work with that many buyers, but I have past clients that I love, love, love. In fact, just sold their son a house last month. Anyway, these clients I've known them since I got in the business, and so I've done 5 deals with them, and they wanted to buy a house, so they wanted to see Rebecca Wooten's house. Okay, Rebecca Wooten had like a bomb diggity house. I'm telling you, she's one of those, and I tell her story about not having the join fee, but she was more or less house poor. She's got her house paid off and all that, but she just didn't have cash at the time. So we went and looked at her house, and it was phenomenal. And she saw like that I was showing the house. There's more to the story, but I won't tell it. I'll let her tell that later on one day, maybe one day from stage. But anyway, I showed the house, and she was like, "Knolly Williams is showing my house." Because I just, I know a lot of the agents in town. They respect me because I've always done them right, done a lot of deals with them. When you do 1,200 deals in one city, you know a lot of people. And so she was like, man, that's Knolly Williams. Well, I was respecting her because Rebecca Wooten, she's been a licensed since 2004. And we all know Rebecca Wooten is like, she knows how to do business. So I was like, oh, this is Rebecca Wooten's house. And she was like, oh, Knolly Williams is showing my house. So she just happened to call me for a little advice or something, some reason or another. And we just started, staying in touch with each other. So when she would have a problem on a deal, she would call me up. She'd say, hey, Knolly, I got a situation on this. So I say, okay, Rebecca, here's what you do. This went on for a year. And I'm her like adopted broker, even though she had a broker at her company. The guy he had a policy. This is God's honest truth. I'm not making this up. He had a policy that if you called him, he gave you 3 minutes. She'll tell you, you ask her, she'll tell you. This guy gave you 3 minutes. So if you need something from him, you got 3 minutes, let's go. Okay, your 3 minutes is up, done. And she needed more help than that. So I helped her. Finally, she joined us here at Mentorship Masters. Now, what's the point? What is my point behind this? I've never met Rebecca Wooten in person. Okay. She lives probably 40, what is she, about 40 miles from me, or 30 miles? I don't know how many miles. I've never met her. I've never met her in person. Okay. We're working together. I've never met most of you guys in person. Okay. And so what I explain to people, I created a software company. Many of you guys know this, called More Souls, MORESOLDS, More Souls. I created that software, or I founded it in 2008. The programmer for that software lives in Canada. I've never met him. I couldn't tell you. If I passed him on the street, I just walk right by him because I don't even know what he looks like. But he and I have been in a working relationship since 2008. He built a company for me. And the reality is nowadays, with the way things are, nobody needs I don't have to be in anybody's city. I mean, with Workplace and all the tools that we have, that is absolutely that's the thing of the past. Even if I were in your city, at least half the mentorship masters that live in Austin, I've not met them yet. Okay. So even if I lived in your city, you would communicate with me the same way you're communicating with me now, through a device like this. Okay. Or we go to Workplace and we communicate. It's the same thing. You got access to me anytime you need it. It's right there. The third objection that I hear from people is, man, I get 100%. So I want to kind of look into this, because I was talking to an agent just the other day, and she was like, well, I used to be at a 100% company. And I said, no, that wasn't a 100% company. She was like, yeah, it was a 100% company. I was like, no, it wasn't 100%. She was like, yes, it was 100%. I was like, no, I don't think it was 100%. She was like, it was 100%. I was like, I don't think so. And this kind of went on back and forth. Finally, I called her and explained to her why it wasn't 100%. When somebody tells you that they're at a 100% company, that might be what it says on the website, but that's never the case. I mean, there's no such, so how does a broker make money? Oh, well, I get paid, I just pay them a fee on every deal. Oh, so that's not 100%, is it? See, 100% is, I'm a broker. Okay. I got my broker's license in 2009. Thank you very much. Why I have it, I'll never know. Why did my mom get her master's degree? The questions like that. Why did I get my broker's license? Well, I wanted to start Knolly Realty. That's why I got it. So I've had a broker's license for 11 years. Now I could just break away from any company and have Knolly Realty. That's 100%. Okay, that's a true 100%. I'm a broker. I make my own money. Now, why wouldn't I do that? Because that is so limiting. Why are so many brokers? We just had one last month with 900. Let me say it again. We just had one last month with 900 agents that joined eXp. Why wouldn't they just keep doing it on their own? Deb and Will Gilliam, 15 agents, and they joined us here at Mentorship Masters. Okay, we've got many brokers that have joined us. So why wouldn't they just keep doing it themselves? Because it in the long game, it doesn't make sense, guys. If I started Knolly Realty with 100 agents, okay, I would probably be making, I don't know, 30, 40, 20, let's say 25,000, $30,000 a month. Okay, cool, $30,000 a month. All right. Now, but at eXp, I could actually have 40,000 agents. I could have 1,000 agents. I could have 500 agents. I can have 300. And so can you. You bring on 2 or 3 agents a year. Okay. In 10 years, you got 20, 30 agents. And that group probably would have grown to 400, 500, or 600 agents. Okay. And now you've got this much bigger company than you could ever have, just trying to keep it all local. I have whole videos on that, so I won't go into that too much here. But let's talk about the 100%. So if you look at somebody that's at 100, like I was talking to a gal that joined me, and she was at a company that paid 100%. And here's what they did. And these numbers could be, if you're watching this and you're at a 100% company, you know, these numbers may be different for you, but let me just show you in her scenario. So the transaction fee that she was paying before she joined Mentorship Masters was $20. I mean, was $4.95, and she would do 20. She had a goal of 20 deals. Okay. So I asked her. I said, "Hey, so why are you? What's your big motivator of wanting to join with Mentorship Masters?" She said, "Well, I want to double my production." I said, "Okay. So what does that look like?" She said, "That's going to look like about 40 deals." Okay. Okay. So now she wants to do 40 deals, and she's paying $500 a deal. I said, "Well, what's the cap at your current company?" She said, "We don't have a cap." I said, "Well, okay. So it's 100%. You're at 100% brokerage, discount brokerage, or 100% brokerage, whatever. But you're paying 500 a deal." I said, "What is that times 40?" Okay. Any of y'all did the math on that? What's $500 times 40 deals? What's she going to pay at the other company? Put in the chat box. 20,000. You guys got it. So I said, "Well, you can stay at that company and not double your production." So look at the logic of this. Just think about this for a minute. You can stay at your current company and do 20 deals and pay 10,000. Okay. I said, "How much you make per deal?" She said, "I might make about 8,000 a deal." I said, "So you're hiring me, you're joining us because you want to make another 160,000, another 160 grand. But yet you stay at your current company and pay 10,000. Okay. Wouldn't it make sense to pay an additional $6,000 to make another 160? And by the way, even if you hired me to coach you and I was able to get you to that level, you know, at your current company, you'd still pay more than you'd pay at eXp. So at the end of the day, the math just doesn't make sense. Well, somebody else says, "Well, wait a minute, um, I don't pay that much." Let's look at somebody that pays. Well, that's just one scenario. Let's say you had somebody that was a true 100%, like you're a broker, and we've got one, Angela Skloss. She's actually joining us this week. She's a 100%. Okay, she's a broker. Okay, so she doesn't have any fees by anybody. Okay, so why is she willing to join eXp? She's going to have a $16,000 cap. By the way, let's do the math on that other one, the previous one that we were talking about. So 40 deals times 8,000. How much is that, guys? Huh? Am I getting that right? 320K, right? Yeah, 320K. So look at this. Is it really an 80-20? And what I explain to people all the time is they say, "Well, it's an 80-20 split." I said, "No, it's not really an 80-20 split. 20% is the most you'll pay." "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, you could actually pay a lot less than 20%. It's not always an 80-20 split." "Well, I thought everybody had the same split." "Well, we all start at the same split, but we don't all pay the same split." "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, let me explain. If you make $320,000 in commission, but you paid the company in 16,000, let's look at that. So you paid 16,000, and we're going to divide that by your GCI. So now you just paid the company 5%. Okay. So in reality, your split at eXp was 95.5. 95.5 at the end of the year. Now, if you did 160,000 GCI, then you're on a 90-10 split. Okay, so right out the gate, people get stuck on the 80-20, and they don't realize that 20% is just the most you'll pay. Okay, when I was super duper out there, like Ricky Carruth just joined us. You guys know him. He does $1 million in GCI. Okay. So why wouldn't a person like Ricky Carruth just go on his own? Well, let's do the math. 16,000 divided by 1 million. Okay. He's going to pay 0.016% of his commission to eXp. So he's at a 98.5% split, 99% split. Let's just call it what it is. He's paying 1% to eXp and he's keeping 99%. So right there, you have to do the true math. The other thing to look at, if you're at 100%, okay, is one of the questions I ask people is, by the fact that you have come on to Mentorship Masters and you're learning from a true master, you're learning from a guy that did 10 listings a month for 10 years in a row. Okay, and you're doing what I tell you to do. Do you think that you're going to get a few more deals a year? Yeah, I think I will. Well, how many? Well, I should do at least another extra 10 deals. Okay, so even if you only did, let's say, 2 extra deals a year, okay, that would 100% pay your complete $16,000 cap. 100%. Even by being part of this, the coaching and things that you're learning, you are able to. And by the way, the stuff that you're learning is for life. It's not just for the next couple of deals. You're learning skills that you'll be able to take and use forever. Now, let's also look at the icon that we have here at eXp. So if a person if they cap, okay, and they do, and here in Austin, it takes about maybe 9 deals, 8, 9 deals to cap. So you do 8, 9 deals, and then you do another 20 deals. So anybody that's doing like 30, 35 deals, okay, and you gotta work the math on it. But let's say they do 30, 35 deals, they're gonna hit icon. That means they get 100% of the $16,000 back in the form of company stock. Now they can't cash it in right away, but guess what? Have you ever been able to go back to Berkshire Hathaway or Keller Williams or Remax 3 years later and say, hey, remember that 20,000 or that 30,000 I paid you 3 years ago? I'd like to have that back now, please. You think they're going to pay you that money back? Well, at eXp we do. If you hit icon in 3 years, that money, those stocks vest, you can sell them and get the, so that's with the icon plus with revenue share. Okay. All you got to do, and I'm sharing this with you guys, bring on one agent. I call it each one reach one. Just bring on one agent per quarter. Okay. One agent per quarter. I get it. You're not Knolly Williams. You can't do what I do. I bring on one a week. I get that. You can't do that. Okay, let's take that excuse off the table. But could you bring in one a quarter? Yes, you can. All you got to do is tell people, hey, I'm partnered with best-selling author Knolly Williams. He's written several books. He's a coach. Would you like to speak with him? Oh yeah, I'd like to speak with him. Well, watch this video. Let's get him on a 3-way call. Let's talk about your career. Okay, it's that easy. So even if the person's at 100%. If you have a company that's willing to pay you where you're now bringing in $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, okay, in residual income, that wipes out any of even if you didn't sell a house here, you'd be ahead, okay? So eXp is the one place where I can make more than 100%. Last year, I paid $16,000 to the company. They paid me back $40,000, whatever it was. They paid me a lot more than I paid them, okay? So that's that 100%. That doesn't really hold water because here you can actually earn a lot more than 100%. Some people say, man, I only pay a transaction fee. We kind of covered that as well in that previous example. Another thing that I hear all the time is it's hard to switch. Okay, it's hard to switch. We have a gal that joined us and I'll give you 2 stories. One, we have a gal that joined us and she was at Keller Williams for 18 years. Okay, 18 years she was at Keller Williams. She had an office at Keller Williams that she had not physically, a desk, not an office, but a desk that she had not physically been to, but she was still paying desk fees for at least 2 years. And so I told her, I said, it's not difficult to switch, I promise you. And when she finally switched, it was so easy. She said, Nolly, if I'd have known it was this easy, I would have done it, a year ago. Okay. Another guy, Ivan B, he's part of our group. He said, Nolly, he called me up. He said, Nolly, I hear it takes 2 to 3 weeks to get onboarded at eXp. I said, man, where'd you hear that? He said, I've been reading on the internet. I said, that's not true, man. Don't read all that crap. It's garbage. He says, but no, people are saying it takes, I said, no. Now it might've taken that back in the day. I don't know, but I've got people that have been onboarded in, 1 or 2 days. He said, okay, well, I'm gonna give it a try. So he filled out the application online. It's all online. The application's online, your license is transferred online, okay? And you really don't even have to meet with your broker. We provide you with a letter that says, it's an exit letter that says, hey, I've joined this other group. And it's very cordial. It's like, what I tell people is, don't say, hey, I'm leaving Keller Williams to go to Remax, or I'm leaving, Remax to go here, or I'm doing whatever kind of move you're making. I say, hey, or don't say, hey, I'm leaving Remax to go to eXp, I'm leaving Keller Williams to go to eXp. Don't put it that way. Just say, look, I found an opportunity over here with Mentorship Masters, and I want to and I want to get in with this group that's going to teach me the kind of things that I want to learn to be a better coach, or a speaker, an author, a trainer. I want to do all the stuff now he's doing. I want to teach on stage. I want to do all that stuff. And here I found a guy that's going to teach me that for free. And so I'm joining the program. Happens to be at eXp. So you don't have to ruffle their feathers, because a lot of the brokers out there are really upset. What do you think the cabs felt like when Uber came? I remember one time Josie and I landed into New York City, and so we went ahead and got a cab, because out there you can't even catch a cab. You can't catch an Uber from the airport. I mean, they got it. The cab companies are pissed. They got it locked down. So we said, look, let's just get a cab. We know it's going to be double. It's going to be stinky. It's going to be some person that talks to us about things we don't care to talk about. But let's just go ahead and do it, because we're at the airport. We don't want to have to walk all the way to this meeting point to catch an Uber. So we did, and Josie opened up a can of worms. Boy, I'm telling you, she started asking the guy what he felt about Uber. She's like, oh, we always do Uber. But I was like, that's not the right kind of conversation to have with a New York cabbie. They're pissed. And it's the same thing with these brokers out there. They don't want to hear it. Their livelihood and their revenue has been threatened, because eXp said, we're going to take all that money and give it back to the agents. We're not going to have these fat cats just living up on the top of the hill, just like these churches you go to, and the pastor lives on top of the hill and everybody else is broke in the congregation. eXp said, we're not playing that game. We're going to play the game where everybody's equal, everybody has an opportunity to succeed. And that's why people like Sheila Fairjean, who met Brent Gove in an elevator for 30 seconds. She met him outside his elevator. She called him up. She said, hey, Brent, you remember me? I met you at a convention. We talked outside the elevator for like 30 seconds. He was like, I don't remember you. You meet a lot of people. She had only known the guy for 30 seconds. Then she told him about eXp. Have you heard about eXp? He was like, no, I never heard of it. So she sent the video to Brent Gove. Okay. He joined eXp, named her as his sponsor. He'd only ever met this gal for 30 seconds ever in his life. Okay. It's an equal opportunity. Anybody, it's not like, oh, Knolly Williams has to go after Brent Gove. No. And Brent Gove now has 7,000 people in his organization. Okay. And so just get that mentality out of your head. With Ivan, going back to his story, he finally did. He said, let me try it out. He was onboarded in like 16 hours. And he said, I'm not going to believe anything else I read online, because there's a lot of negativity out there, because, nobody wants to see the kind of growth. I mean, we're adding 2,000, soon to be 3,000 agents a month to eXp. It's unheard of. Nobody's ever done this in the history of real estate ever. And then the last one is, I love it at my current brokerage. And, I hear that a lot, people that don't understand the kind of community we have, the Christ-centered group that we've created, the family that we've created, the culture. It doesn't make sense to them how you could actually sustain this in an online environment. Now, I've got some incredible stuff for you guys on the horizon when we can get together again, where we'll start having our retreats. as Mentorship Masters, because my goal was once we got over 100 members, we're going to start having retreats where we just hang out and get together, you know. So with COVID, that's been put a little cap on it. But the cool thing is, and the neat thing is that we have a culture, a community that is unlike anything else, and it doesn't just span within your local area. So now you're getting perspectives from California, a perspective from Hawaii, a perspective from Oregon, a perspective over here from Charlotte, North Carolina. You're getting different perspectives of how people are selling real estate. And you don't only have to have the local perspective. One of the best things I ever learned was from a guy that picked me up in the airport, and he was taking me to speak at a conference that he was putting on. He gave me a powerful piece of advice that earned me over $1 million. Just that little tip that they were doing in their market that I wasn't currently doing. I didn't know anything about it. I've earned over $1 million from that one little tip. I said, man, are you serious? And he said, yeah, that's how we do it here. I was like, cool. And I'm telling you. So anyway, loving it at your current brokerage, I get it. But what people have to understand is that the current model is a dinosaur. When the reason why Twitter came on and said, all of our employees that are working from home, you never have to come back to work. Okay. And they did a poll, and they polled, I mean, just Google it. There's been numerous polls. Do you like working at home, or would you want to come back to an office? Guys, I got to tell you, the overwhelming majority, more than 80% of people like working virtually. Now, they may not like being at home, or they're getting, claustrophobic with COVID and being around their family all the time. They're acclimating to how to do this. But I started working from home when I was 23 years old. I'm 50 now. When I started my first business, I worked from home, and I still work from home. And I told myself this. I said, if the president of the United States can work from home, so can I. Why not? Okay. And I started working from home. Now, it's a different way of thinking. I get that. It's a completely different way of thinking. And you have to sort of reinvent the way that you think around working virtually and around working in that kind of environment. I mean, it doesn't mean you're always not going to be around people, because here's the cool thing. In every single major city, we have groups at eXp that have events whenever we can get back to doing those. They got the kibosh right now, but when we can get back to doing them, we have like 400 members in our Austin group. Okay. And we do stuff together. So if you like having socials and getting together with like-minded people, I got to tell you, we still have that. But with Workplace that was created by Facebook for eXp, I'm telling you, we are so connected. Charles Lee, I think, said it best. He said, I didn't join Mentorship Masters here at eXp because I thought I loved the idea, even though he hardly went in the office at all, but he loved the idea of being able to drive in traffic and get to the office and just be there for a few minutes, just be in the office environment. He said, I never, in my wildest dreams would have imagined that I'm more connected now than I ever was going into an office. I'm more connected now in the Mentorship Masters and eXp family. So those are the top 6 things that I see, guys, from, and I want to see if you guys have anything as well. But those are, interestingly, let me just share this again. It's quite odd, but interestingly, these are the top 6 objections that I get from almost everybody that I talk to that has an objection about joining eXp. It's going to be one of these. I really love it where I am. You would be my sponsor, but you don't live here. I get 100% where I'm at now. Man, I only pay a transaction fee. Man, it's really hard to switch. I love it at my current brokerage. And I got to tell you guys, when you think this way, what's happening is you're thinking very short-sighted, and you're not really looking at, you're not really looking at the big picture. I remember when I tried to hire Russell Brunson as my mentor, I still remember going to the page, filling out the form, and it was tough for me to pay $25,000 to somebody. $25,000. It was very tough. I had the money, but it was still tough. And filling out the form and saying, yes, I want to hire Russell Brunson. And you know what I got for what I was going to get for $25,000? Okay. The ability to contact him, not even on his cell phone, but the ability to contact him if I had any questions about my business or anything, through an app that they use. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie that he uses. Okay, and I can say, "Hey, Russell, I got a question about this," and he'll get back to me whenever. Okay, and so at the end of the day, okay, at the end of the day, um, I was not even accepted. They were like, "Look, man, our program's full." There was so many people. Now, by the way, I was just talking to a guy that's in his inner circle. It's now $50,000 a year to be part of that. Okay, and I took my $25,000 a year program, which I had at the time, and I converted that into a group that we call Mentorship Masters. Okay, so this is the same group that people were paying 25,000 a year to be part of. It's just now free. Okay, because I guarantee you, you could sit down with me, or we could have a conversation, and I could give you one idea that would generate you 5 listings. Okay, each of those listings could make you 10,000. Now you just made 50 grand. Was it worth paying me to do? Of course it is, because that idea not just is going to get you those 5 listings this year, but you're going to get another 5 next year, another 5 the year after that, another. So what is the lifetime value of what you're getting? That's the question. So let me see if you guys have any questions. Yeah. So Mary says it costs a lot more to operate a boutique brokerage, yeah, than 16,000. I know, and that's the thing. When you operate that, and I have a lot of videos about that. That's why I didn't get into it here. But if you operate a brokerage, with your errors and omissions and all the liability and things like that, I mean, this is just a phenomenal option. Uh, do you guys have any other questions for me? You can either unmute yourself and ask. Has this been good? Was this a good presentation? I mean, did I help you guys with some of these? Let me see.
Yes, it's great.
Thank you.
Knolly, I have a question though.
Mhm.
A broker that has 40 agents and wants to come over, are their needs a little different?
Yes. Yeah. So I have a couple videos on that. And is this Pamela?
Yes,
Okay.
Pamela.
Yeah. So I have a couple videos on that. Let me show you real quick. Um, Let me just share my screen again. And what I recommend is let me just see. Let me get to a clear. All right. So on my YouTube, I've got a couple of videos that really address that, Pamela. And let me find them for you because, and you might have watched these already, but I just want to remind you that they're here. Let me see. So this is the first one. It's one that I did with Curtis Johnson and Fred Weaver. Very, very good video. And the question that's being asked is, should I bring my independent brokerage to eXp? Okay, so that's one video. Let me go to another one.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. I'll go look at it. That's great because the objection that I heard was that if you have 40 agents and they're all at 100% and all the expenses that go into it, you have to make so much, you have to do so much more to make just a little. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So the issue there is if they've got 40 agents that are all at 100% and just pay a you know like a fee per deal type thing. Um, by the way, there's one other video. There's one other video. Here it is. Moving your real estate team to eXp. Okay.
Okay.
So just look up like Team eXp Knolly in the search, and you should get those 2 videos. They should come up for you. So it's beyond the scope of this particular topic, but I can touch on it some. So, oh, Judy said I knocked it out of the park. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. So again, what I highly recommend for someone like that that's looking at eXp, they've got 40 agents because we have different plans for teams. A lot of you guys may not know that. We have actually 3 different team models. Okay, so one is just a self-organized team like I have, where each person that comes on just joins eXp. There's another one that is a different kind of team, and they pay a half cap. And then there's another like a mega icon team, a mega team that pays a quarter cap for each agent. Now the thing is, what they'll want to do, they're going to want to get together with like my business partner, Kevin Kaufman or Fred Weaver, because we have actually a spreadsheet that we can put what they're currently doing on that spreadsheet and compare it to eXp. So we'll be able to look at, okay, what are your costs now? What will they be with eXp side by side? And
Mm-hmm.
really, Pamela, it's a case by case situation.
Okay.
And then there's a guy named Sam Rodriguez who's right under Dave Kennord. That is the guy that I work with directly, and him and another gentleman that will basically onboard teams, because we have a whole group that does team onboarding, and they can have a high level conversation with those individuals as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm going to start with sending the video, because I sent one video and it didn't grab them like, okay, I'm going to join eXp. And then we
Yeah,
had conversations, and that's when it came out, the cost of doing business with the team, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just trying
yeah.
to.
I know what a lot of people have done is they've more or less just kind of converted their brokerage. See, the cool thing is you can keep your brokerage name, your logos, your colors, everything, okay? Because EXP is a platform. It's very
Mhm.
important for people to understand. It's a platform. It's not like a franchise. It's not a franchise. So we don't have like they can keep their identity, okay? And that's what a lot of people are afraid to lose. But it may cause them, if they do something like this, to just change the way they do business. And at the end of the day, it's really the bottom line. So if they've got 40 agents, like I talked to a gentleman who has, I think, 16, 17 agents, and he's got a similar model. So he's just going to change the way that their model is. And because at the end of the day, when he looks at his net, that's what we want to look at. How much are you netting per month? Okay. And then you look at, okay, does it make more sense to continue like this for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Because here's what's going to happen, Pamela. Over the next, just think about real estate 5 years from now. What's it going to look like? Okay.
Mhm.
And if you don't change now, if you don't take those hits now and start saying, you know what, I'm going to do things a little different, because quite honestly, a independent brokerage will take a hit typically at the beginning. I'll give you an example, my own example. I was making $50,000 to $70,000 per month, okay, by speaking at Keller Williams Market Centers. Let me say it again. I gave up a half a million to $750,000 in annual income because I'm not invited to Keller Williams Market Centers anymore, right? And so I gave up that income in order to join eXp. Am I
Mhm.
now making 75,000 a month? You just saw what I'm making. I'm making 6,000 a month. So it's always, you always have to look at it the long game. Now I'm not saying an independent brokerage would give up that, because the money I was making was almost pure profit because I was a speaker. Most
Right.
brokerages don't make very much profit. I'll just tell you that now. Okay. So it's going to be, the difference is going to probably be minuscule, or it's going to be not as big as what I'm describing. But I took a pay cut to join eXp because I looked at the long game. And when you look at it and you say, where am I going to be in 5 years? Where is the company going to be in 5 years, or even 10 years? Where are my agents going to be? And many of those agents are going to be at eXp. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just the way it is, whether
Okay.
you conform or not. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's not a thing to feel threatened. What I tell people is, most people, let me say this very clear so you guys understand it. Most agents that we talk to will never join eXp. Let me say it again. Most of the agents that I talk to will never join eXp. We want a 20% market share. That means that 80% of the agents out there won't join us. Okay, we
Mhm.
want 20%, 400,000 agents. That has to be very clear, because you have to get through the no's to get to the yeses. We get that, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
I
80%
do.
will never join us.
Do.
So just get that in your head. Don't try to make someone join, or if they're not feeling it, they're not feeling it. I mean, you just move on to the next one. That's been kind of Brent's model, my model. It's like, if you see it, you see it. If you don't see it, you don't see it. But at the same time, you can kind of massage and help them to see it. But 80% of people won't. Okay, that's just reality. That's the Pareto's principle. So we don't want to try to make them see it, but at the end of the day, if they're willing to look at it on equal footing, let's sit them down with, if they're interested, with Kevin Kaufman, Fred
Mhm.
Weaver, and they're like, look, I really like what you guys are doing, but I just don't understand. I don't understand how it can help me. Let's just sit down, because maybe it won't help them. When we look at it, we'll know. And here's what I tell people, and this is very important. I know I'm getting lengthy, but very important to get this one thing. Every real estate agent in the world needs to know about eXp. Whether they join us or not ever, it doesn't matter. You got to know about this model that's disrupting the industry because it is wreaking havoc. It's like Godzilla going through a city block. It's never the real estate industry will never be the same now that eXp is coming through. Okay, and so team leaders, brokers, they gotta know what they're saying no to. It's okay to say no, but you gotta know what you're saying no to. Number one, and number two, you gotta understand what 3,000 agents a month are saying yes to. Because even if you're not going to say yes to it, you got to understand this because so many agents are joining us. It's incredible. And you got to understand why is this happening? Because if you don't understand it, then you're not going to be able to talk intelligently to your agents. All you'll be able to do is smear dirt. I'm talking to you. You guys are not talking to you, Pamela, but I'm saying all that person can do is smear dirt because they don't understand it. It's okay to understand it and disagree. It's like, look, I looked at the model and I don't like it. That's a more intelligent conversation than just saying, you know what, God doesn't exist. I just don't believe in him. I saw this is a funny little anecdote. I saw a picture of two fleas on a dog. Okay, they were walking and they were like, you could see the fleas and it was a cartoon and you would see the dog hairs. I don't know if you've ever seen this. And so one flea is telling the other flea, I don't even know if there really is a dog. Two fleas on a dog walking, and this is it's and I tell people all the time, it's better to say you're agnostic than atheist, because an atheist has made up his mind that there is no God. Scripture said that's a fool. But an agnostic person says there might be a God, but I'm not into that, but there might be one. Does that make more sense?
Yes.
That's a more intelligent conversation. So a person should know about eXp, watch the videos. Even if they're never going to join eXp, they should know about it because they got to know what they're turning down and they got to know what their agents are saying yes to.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Anybody else? I promise I won't be as lengthy. Any other questions around this? Or are we all good? All right. So this is one, guys, for the history books. Okay, this is. Okay, no. I was just thinking there was another question here. This is one for the history books, guys, because hold on. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah, Lucas is saying that we do have a personal attraction page at eXp, which is your first name, last name, .exprealty.careers. So that's very important for you guys to understand that. So each one of you has your own personal attraction page that eXp has created. So thanks for bringing that up, Lucas. So the reason why this one is one for the history books is because I don't think I've ever done one where I specifically talk about the objections. These are the top 6 objections that I've heard as I've been sharing eXp to hundreds of people in my first 16 months. I'm sure there might be others that come up. I'll cover those later. If you have one, the comments down below, if you're on YouTube checking this out, put your objection in the comment below. And even if someone absolutely doesn't like eXp, I continue to go on record and say, if you want to chat about it, talk about it, tell us, what we can do better, because we're always improving at eXp. We know there's some things that we need to do better, and that's what we're working on. But as a model, solid. Okay, that's it, guys. I love y'all. Have a great weekend. Mute yourselves. Tell Uncle Knolly goodbye. Let me hear you.
Bye, Uncle Knolly.
Bye.
Bye, Uncle Knolly.
Bye,
Uncle
Knolly. Bye, everybody. Everybody have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Everybody have a good weekend. Nolly, have a awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love y'all. Appreciate you.
Love you too. Love you all.